from the first time that I showed up to record, it is so different than the movie you see on screen. And I think that's really inspiring to know, okay, hey, this didn't work, and that's okay. We can find something else that works, and it's just constantly working towards a place of excellence. Everyone is beautiful inside and out in their own different and unique ways. And if you're feeling pressure, from social media, from your parents, from life in general, to just be perfect, you don't. No one is perfect. No one has it figured out. I have an affirmation on my mirror that says progress, not perfection. If you want to make an impact and if you want to change the world, you have to make a splash.
Welcome to the 1 Million Years of Joy podcast. I'm Dr. Andrea Vanaker, your host, and my intention is to inspire you to find more joy in your life through the stories from our guests and the science on joy and purpose. Kensington, welcome. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk all about joy today.
Yes, so am I. So, Kensington, you've had really a remarkable career and you've been shining on stages since you were 5 years old. How was your experience growing up in front of the cameras and all the attention? And if you had to describe your journey in one word right now, what would it be and why?
Ooh, this is a great question. I love this. I mean, from a very young age, I feel like I've always loved art. And that has been something that's really important to me because, art is something that really truly does bring me the most joy. But when I was little, I've lived all over. So I grew up in New York City and I'm in Los Angeles and San Diego now. So I went from the East Coast to the West Coast. But I had really, really bad anxiety and really bad stage fright when I was younger. And I did like little ballet recitals when I was like, like 4 or 5 and stuff. And every time I would get on stage, I would get so anxious and I had the worst stage fright. So I never even thought that acting was something that I could even pursue. I didn't know. I didn't even think of it, honestly. And I went to an amazing classical school in the city, and I actually started playing violin when I was younger. And I was a violinist for 3 years. I loved it. It was fantastic. And my parents were encouraging me, to step outside my comfort zone and to do the recitals. So I'd have to get on stage, and I would always get a little nervous. But I feel like doing that really pushed me outside my comfort zone. And at my school, we also had this poetry competition, this poetry festival. So every year you would like make it to the finals or whatever. And so I would get up on stage in front of the entire school in elementary school, like first grade, and recite this poem. And I was so nervous, but I feel like those experiences really shaped me for who I am today. And, my brother, I have a younger brother, he's 4 years younger than me, and he started modeling when he was little. And so I went on one of his auditions one day just, to support him because again, I had all that, stage fright and didn't think it was something that I could pursue. And I told the casting director that I was auditioning. And I ended up booking the job accidentally. Didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I accidentally stumbled into this wonderful world of acting. And truly, it has just been the biggest blessing. And I don't think I could really do anything else. I mean, it just is so fulfilling for me. I'm in such a great creative outlet, I feel like. So when I was 10, I moved. So that was like 8 years old. Then when I was 10, I moved to Los Angeles and I really started pursuing TV and film and kind of getting more serious about it. So I'm 16 now. And, the past 6 years, it's just been, a lot of hard work, a lot of ups and downs. This business is very inconsistent, but it is so fulfilling to be a creative, I feel like. And if I could describe my journey right now, I feel like in one word, oh man, I really would say joy, but I would also say, I don't know, like it's more of I'm trying to think of like a good word to describe this. I feel like I have to do it in a sentence almost, like kind of a sense of peace almost, and accepting where you are in the moment. Because I feel like, especially as actors, we're always looking for our next job and we're always looking ahead, like, okay, let me work on this audition. What if I get this? What if this? What if this? What if I don't get this? Then what happens? And you go down the rabbit hole. But I think if you really, really focus on the present moment of what you're put here to do, right, now and today and in this second. I think that's been so important for me, and not worrying about tomorrow and what tomorrow brings. So that's been something I've really been trying to focus on in this year for 2025.
Wonderful. And I know, I've watched your movies. You've played so many different roles beautifully, from comedy to drama to voice acting. Can you share with our audience what draws you to a character, and how do you actually decide which stories you want to be part of?
Oh, thank you so much. I think, the biggest thing for me as a storyteller, is making sure that the art that I'm producing and the art that I'm being a part of is uplifting and, is able to change people's narrative and change people's mindset. And so, everything I do, I really try to make sure that has a joyful and positive impact on people, because, that's why I do what I do, and that's why I feel like TV and film and movies are just such a wonderful medium of connecting people, because you're able to reach people all throughout the world and different languages and different cultures, and you can get the same messages across of the human experience. And so, for example, for Riley, for Inside Out 2, she's such a real and authentic character of being a teenager. And I think what's so important about this film specifically is that it bridges the generational gap, right? It's not just for teens, it's not just for kids, it's for adults too. And, our filmmakers have really put a face to these complex emotions, which has never been done before. And the film has helped me so much personally. I was 13 when I auditioned and when I started the process, and I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. I got diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, and I was really struggling. And I think, that was the time of the pandemic, and, I couldn't see my friends. And I think it was just a really difficult time for me. And the film just really showed me that, I'm not alone in this journey, and that anxiety is something that we all have at different levels at different times. And then our mental health is actually really important to talk about, and that you're not alone in that. Because when you're on your mental health journey, it can feel very isolating, as there's this, negative stigma that's been around for a really long time. I think the film really breaks that and just, says, hey, your mental health is important and we need to talk about this.
Absolutely. And we'll dive more into the work that you do around mental health. But I want to go back to the anxiety that you just touched upon, your own personal anxiety. How have you learned to navigate those emotions in order to continue shining, especially under pressure?
Oh, that's such a great question. You know, it can be a lot. I feel like being in the entertainment business and just being a teenager in general. And I think something that has really helped me is self care. And, it's such an important tool to just be able to decompress. And self care can manifest in whatever way that looks like for you. For me, it's like writing affirmations and taking time to just take a bath at night and watch my favorite TV show when I really need to laugh. And I think that is so important for every single person to just take that time to self-care. I've actually been able to work with an amazing nonprofit called Girl Well, and we serve undersheltered teenage girls with self-care kits that promote mental, physical, and emotional well-being. So that has also just inspired me to really prioritize my mental health and kind of embrace my anxiety in a positive light.
Tell us more about this foundation that you just shared, and how you're bringing smiles to young teenage girls out there.
Thank you so much. So I met Kaylee Joy Cooper, who is the founder and CEO of Girl Well, about 2 years ago. Her younger brother is on a show that I did called That Girl Lele. And so he was like, oh, I have my older sister, Kaylee Joy. I think you'd really like to meet her. And so I went to one of her packing parties for Girl Well. And from the moment that I stepped in that packing party, I knew that it was something I wanted to be a part of. And it was the same time that I was recording Inside Out 2. And it fulfilled so much of my purpose and kind of what I want to do. And it just aligns so perfectly. It has been so incredible to provide these kits to these young girls, because it's so hard in today's day and age, because mental health is really, really important. And what Girl Well is doing is so important, to see their faces light up and to see how we can encourage and impact them. It's just so powerful. We have things that are in there that prioritize mental, physical, and emotional well-being. So we have 3 months of free teletherapy through BetterHelp. We have handwritten letters of affirmation, and then we have makeup and skincare products. And it's just so important that these girls receive this and know that they're loved and cared for.
How amazing. And I know that you're also very deeply involved in other initiatives relating to mental health, and you are actually the youngest panelist at the Chopra Foundation Symposium at Harvard, which is totally amazing. What inspired you to actually get involved in mental health advocacy years ago?
Okay, yes. So it was so much fun doing the Chopra Foundation, and I it was my very first panel, and to do it at Harvard too was so cool. And I actually got to do it with Kaylee Joy as well, who's the founder and CEO of Grow Well. And you know, I think what really inspired me to really start being a mental health advocate was Inside Out too, because I was dealing so much with my own mental health and just my own journey, and the film really showed me that it's okay to not be okay all the time. It's okay to not have it figured out. It's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to have anxiety. It's okay to feel these emotions. And so then when I met Kaylee Joy, it just really kind of like elevated in just such a perfect way. It was just kind of all meant to be. And so as I started working with Kaylee Joy and Grow Well, I really started prioritizing my own self-care and my own mental health. Like I was saying, something that's really special in the kits is those handwritten letters of affirmation. And so I started writing them for myself actually, and I put them on my mirror every day, and so that I can look at them and speak those words of joy and encouragement to ourselves. And so when I got the call for the Chopra Foundation, I was so excited because, Chopra has been doing so many amazing things, and Deepak is just so wonderful in this space. He's so uplifting, and he's been doing this for so many years and is just so wise. And so I was so excited to be a part of that. I was also very anxious and a little nervous, not gonna lie, as it was my first panel. And I remember I was just like, okay, take deep breaths. You can put your anxiety aside, let it all soak in, bring that joy back in. And it was truly such a wonderful experience, and we got to do it with Ziad Ahmed, who's amazing. I love him. I got to do it with my friend Risha Savadati, and it was amazing. We got to do it with Kate Graham, I think, as well. And it was just so wonderful to have this beautiful panel of people who are all doing amazing things, and just to be inspired, by other people, and to really just uplift people.
I love that. So beautiful. And what would you say to another teen who may feel pressure to be perfect, especially on social media?
Social media can be a rabbit hole. I had to take a break from social media this week. I just put my phone away and was like, this is not healthy. I would spend like an hour at night scrolling. And I used to not do this. And I think it became a recent thing of just trying to like find some sort of joy. But I realized that that was so unfulfilling for me, because after I would scroll, I would feel so unfulfilled. I stayed in bed at night just being like, okay, now what? Now I have to go to sleep. Like now it's just so unfulfilling. And so if you are feeling pressure from social media to be perfect and to look a certain way, that is not true. Social media, while it can be a really really helpful tool, and it can be really great, there's so many wonderful people out there putting positive encouragement out there, there can also be a lot of negativity. And I think you have to recognize that and say, okay, this is what I see, but this isn't true. Everyone is different. Everyone is beautiful inside and out in their own different and unique ways. And if you're feeling pressure, from social media, from your parents, from life in general, to just be perfect, you don't. No one is perfect. No one has it figured out. I have an affirmation on my mirror that says progress, not perfection, because I am a perfectionist, so I understand. I get so stuck in those nitty-gritty things of like, okay, but it could be just like 1% better, and it could be perfect. It could be 100%. But I think sometimes you have to live with the reality of it's okay if it's 99%. It doesn't always have to be perfect. It doesn't always have to be 100%. So something that I've been working on, and just knowing that you're loved no matter what, like no one is perfect. No one has it all figured out.
And feeling that you are enough, right? That there and that you can set your own standards, right? In terms of how you want to show up in this world, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You are enough no matter what lies that you believe. And this is something that we talk a lot about in the film for Inside Out too. Is that belief system. And Riley, over the course of the film, starts thinking, I'm not good enough. I can't do it, I'm not good enough. But when we reframe our beliefs to say, no, I am good enough, I am loved, I am beautiful, I am these things, we believe it, right? Because it's part of our belief system and that's what makes our sense of self. So just know that you're enough and speak that truth and light into yourself. And if you have to write it down to remind yourself, do that. I have to do that. We all have to.
Indeed. And how do you find the strength to continue believing that you are enough, especially in the world that you're navigating in, as you've mentioned, where you're looking for the next opportunities, auditioning, and sometimes there's rejection that comes into the picture. How do you personally navigate rejection?
Oh, that's a great question and something I'm dealing with right now. It's really challenging because especially, I mean, in whatever profession, you choose to pursue, it looks different, but especially in the entertainment industry, it can feel very personal, the rejection aspect of it, right? You put your heart and soul into this character for this audition, and then it's like, okay, it didn't go anywhere, or you got down so close and it was between you and another person and you didn't get it. And it can feel very personal, right? Because it is such a vulnerable medium of art. And what I've realized is that there are so many things out of your control that you can't do. I mean, it's a lot of the times we want someone older, we want someone younger, we want someone with blonde hair, we want someone taller, we want someone shorter. And a lot of these things are just things that are you can't control, and it's just reminding yourself that and reminding yourself that you're enough. And also to learn and grow from these experiences. I've had so many bad auditions. I mean, I have so many bad audition stories of me going in there and getting so in my head that I lose the character and that I lose my intention. And that's was a great learning experience for me to go, okay, this is what not to do. And next time I can go in and do better and be my best self. And even if you give it 110% and you still don't get it, again, that's a thing out of your control. And so it's just remembering your self-worth, and it can be really challenging. I've had lots of times of doubt and uncertainty, but it's important to know that you're loved and beautiful and are enough in this business, and to just constantly say those things to yourself, because over time you will start to believe those things and it'll be a practice that you can incorporate in your daily life.
And despite the rejections, you've had so much success as well. You've worked also with major studios from Disney to Pixar. And I was curious if you could share with our listeners what have been some of the lessons learned from working with these organizations and the teams that are often behind the scenes that we never see, that are part of these huge and interesting productions.
Oh man, I love this. I am so excited to talk about this. Pixar and Disney, I am just constantly in awe of them. Every time I would go to Pixar, it is so magical. Like, I literally get goosebumps thinking about it. Their studio is incredible. But what I love about Pixar is that you walk in, and their studios are in Northern California, and it's just so creative. You can feel the creative energy circling every single person that is at the Pixar campus in these buildings is just at the top of their field, the top creatives. And being surrounded by that, I've gotten to learn from so many incredible people. We had the best team for Inside Out 2, our director Kelsey Mann, our producer Mark Nielsen, and everyone else who worked on the project was just so loving and caring and kind and empathetic too. And I think the main thing that stuck out to me was empathy. I think Kelsey Mann and Mark Nielsen in particular, they are such empathetic people. And I think they were just such the perfect people to make this film. And Kelsey is just such an incredible director. He would stand for our 4-hour sessions and he would be right there with me. And, in those panic attack scenes, he would be right there with me. And I think it taught me so much about the process of creativity and how you learn and how you grow and how empathy plays a big part in your work and in creativity. And something also that's really interesting about the process for Pixar movies in particular is we record the movie in one day, But we go back multiple times, and so I probably recorded the movie 8 different times, and they go back and they tear it apart and they give it to test audience and they rewrite it. They rewrite scenes, they rewrite characters. I mean, it from the first time that I showed up to record, it is so different than the movie you see on screen. And I think that's really inspiring to know, okay, hey, this didn't work, and that's okay. We can find something else that works, and it's just constantly working towards a place of excellence. But if you don't get those ideas out and if you don't try these ideas out, you'll never know if it works or not. So that was something also that I learned from them that was really, really inspiring, is to not get too attached to your work and to be okay to, let a couple ideas go to find the best possible idea, but also be okay to spit ideas out. And even if they sound crazy, just spit them out, because ultimately it works towards that goal.
I love that. And as you're projecting yourself into the future, is there a dream role or story that you hope to bring to life one day?
Oh, thank you so much. I think I'd love, well, I have like two. I have like two like dreams. I would say I'd really love to do something very action packed, like a Mission Impossible or like a Marvel. There's something really that just really is cool about that for me. I think these actors that are in these films, I just respect them so much because they're working with their imaginations so much. I mean, they're literally behind a green screen. And it's like we have to pretend that there's this giant alien right here, and it's just a tennis ball. And I think there's something so captivating about that. I also love stunts, and I'd love to like do my own stunts one day. That just sounds like so much fun. But I'd also really love to play like a historical character, someone, like RBG, or just someone who's made such an impact and tell their story in a new light. I think that'd be really fun. I love history. I love learning about the past. And I think, I have this book of like, it's called Bad Girls Throughout History. And it's like all about, these inspiring women from the past. So to play, an inspiring woman and to tell their story, to uplift other young women, I think would be just such a dream come true.
Yes, may it become true indeed for you. I mean, that would be awesome. And talking about education and evolution, you graduated high school at 15, which is quite remarkable,
Oh, thank
while juggling your acting roles. So, how have you balanced education, acting, and still find the space
you.
to laugh and to find joy in your daily activities?
I love that. It's not always easy. It's trial and error. And also my mom, she's incredible. My parents are amazing. I could not do this without them. They are my support system all the way. My mom is so great. She's really good at scheduling. She has this like amazing side of her where she's like super analytic and she can just like boom, boom, boom. Okay, this time we have this time. I am not built like that. So she has been able to help me with that side of that. But I think also, yeah, just time blocking and scheduling things and going, okay, finding your passions and going, okay, this is my passion. I want to pursue this. What can I do, actively every day to help pursue that dream? And then on the other side, okay, these are the things I have to do on my to-do list. Let's get them done. Let's cross them off. What can I do each day to cross those things out? And then budget that other time right over here where, okay, what's some time where I can budget some self care and just have some time for me and go watch TV and go crochet. I love to crochet and go draw and do, paint and go to the mall with my friends. So it's like you just have to, it can be challenging at times, but just balancing those three circles, I feel like, is kind of how I do it. I just go, okay, today I have X, Y, and Z. This is what I'm going to do for my craft. This is what I'm going to do to pursue my passion. This is what I have to do. And then this is what I get to do for fun, for me. I think that's really important.
Amazing. And do you still play the violin today?
So I actually, okay, it's kind of a funny story. So I played for 3 years, and it came to a place where it wasn't giving me as much joy as it used to. And, I could have kept playing, but I felt like it wasn't my calling anymore and it wasn't my passion anymore. So I was like, you know what, that's okay. I'm going to move into the acting space and pursue that because that really does uplift me and give me the most joy, I would say. But I actually started playing the ukulele instead, and I just play for fun. I'm in my like little self-tape area, and I have a pink electric ukulele that's really cute. And I also started like learning how to play the piano, but I love music, and I feel like while I don't play the violin anymore, I still feel like classical music is still a part of me. I love artists like Leve who, incorporates classical music and jazz because I grew up with that. I grew up in the classical music field, and I grew up going to jazz concerts, in New York City. Like, I feel like it's still very much a part of me.
Beyond everything that we have already spoken about, you're also part of the teen advisory board at Reese Witherspoon's Hello Sunshine, which empowers young women. What kind of impact are you hoping to make through that work?
I'm so excited to be part of this initiative. I can't say too much yet because we have some exciting things coming up. But it's been just so great to work with Etra and Hello Sunshine. They're two powerhouses that really drive to uplift women. And, the team at both Etra and Hello Sunshine are just so loving and kind. And I've been able to learn so much from them, just, like on a personal side of, how to be the best version of you, what can you do to inspire yourself, all those things, but also on a business side too of, okay, this is the business that we're in, this is the business that we're creating, how do we do this? So it's been just so wonderful to learn from them. And I really hope this next year working with Atra and Hello Sunshine that I can just grow as a person, as a creative, as a young woman in today's day and age, and just learn from them and be inspired.
Amazing. And what's your hope for the next generation of young girls and women in entertainment and beyond?
I think my goal for the women in this next generation in entertainment and whatever passion that they're pursuing is just to make sure that whatever you're doing, you're doing with impact, and to know that it's uplifting people, and that the stories that you're telling are important and impactful, and that take up space too. I think that's been something I've really been learning. I feel like as a woman, we kind of get small, and we can kind of just try to appease everyone of like, oh, I'm sorry, like let me appease you, and let me you go ahead, you do you, let me just stay in the background. But I really really want to encourage the next generation of young women to say no, this is who I am, I'm strong in this, I believe in myself, and I'm going to take up space because I earned it, I deserve to be here, and I've worked hard, and I know that I have something special that I can offer to the table. So that's been something that I've been working on personally, is taking up that space and not being small. And kids, I mean, there was this article that was published, and it was like, girls in elementary school stop raising their hands in like fifth grade or even third grade. And I go, that is so sad to me. We need to inspire this next generation to be curious, to be open-minded, to not be afraid to make mistakes, and to learn and grow and to take up that space.
Incredibly beautiful. And if you could go back and give your 10-year-old self some piece of advice about confidence or joy, what would it be?
Oh, this is such a good question. I can imagine little 10-year-old Kensington. Just know that it's all going to be okay, and that it's all going to work out, and that you have a plan and purpose for you, and every single person has a special plan and purpose for them. And in the moment when you're in a season of waiting, it can feel like, okay, where is that plan, where is it? But it's always there, it's always there. Your plan is very special and unique to you. And then also to not get so caught up in perfection. I from literally from first grade, I have always been a perfectionist. I remember in elementary school I would cry every day at school because I was so obsessed with this aspect of perfection. I would spend 4 hours on my homework in elementary school, and I realized that that was not a healthy and sustainable way of living. So just want to let little Kensington know that you don't have to be perfect, and that it's okay. Just enjoy the mistakes because you'll learn and grow from them, and enjoy the little things because yeah, that's what's going to bring you the most joys, is those little tiny pockets, those little tiny pockets of excitement and goodness.
I love that. And if there would be a recipe for living more joyfully, what would be the three main ingredients in your view?
Ooh, oh, I love this. I think unity. Number one, unity. I think our world right now is just so divided, and I think that's why people aren't as joyful. Is because we're always arguing and we're always saying, no, this. I think if we can create a sense of unity and, coming together despite our differences, and actually seeing our differences as a strength rather than a weakness, I feel like really will just be so important. I think kindness is number two. We need to be kind, you know? We need to uplift one another. We can't tear each other down because at the end of the day, that's not going to serve anyone. We have to uplift. And then I guess the third would just be I this is kind of a long-winded answer, but I will say happiness is very fleeting. I feel like oftentimes when we're happy, we think of like, oh, I just got a new job, I'm happy, or oh, this I got a 100, like an A on my test, I'm happy. But it can go away all in an instant. But I think to have everlasting joy is to be joyful in those moments of uncertainty and of, okay, today didn't go great, but that's okay because I'm still here. My heart is still beating. Count your bless. I have a pillow and it says count your blessings. And seriously, count your blessings of all the blessings that have come before and that are going to come. The sun is shining. I'm here. I have so many blessings and so many things to be grateful for. So really just a sense of thankfulness and gratefulness that will pursue joy and not happiness, because happiness just goes away, but joy is everlasting.
Fully agree. So beautifully said. Thank you. And what's the biggest lesson that life has taught you so far?
Oh man, I've it's been a wild ride and I feel like I have so much more to learn. I am excited to be here and to just learn and grow as a young woman in the entertainment industry, but I think something that I've learned that has just really impacted me, I think, is to take up space, and to not be small, because at the end of the day, we have to if you want to make an impact, and if you want to change the world, you have to make a splash and you have to show people what you're capable of and you have to be confident in who you are. And I think that's something that I've been working on because I'm such a perfectionist and people pleaser, and I'm really trying to break those habits. So I think something that life has taught me is really just when you embrace who you truly are and don't shy away and don't try to hide anything and just are authentically yourself and take up that space, you can really achieve whatever dreams you have.
And if you could give one message to every young person listening right now about joy, what would that message be?
If I could give my young listeners any piece of advice about joy, I would just say enjoy the little things. You know, count your blessings. Let's say, you didn't get an A on that test. That's okay. The sun is still shining. You saw a rainbow today. Count that blessing. You got a new like purse. That's a little thing of joy that brings you joy. And find things in your everyday life that give you joy, whether that's taking a bath, whether that's eating a cookie, going to your favorite ice cream shop, hanging out with that friend that you haven't seen for a moment, or just texting a friend that you haven't texted in a second, or hanging out with your puppy or your cat. Find those little moments of joy, because those are what matter, because all of those little exciting tiny moments of joy build up to your whole big, sense of joy, that everlasting joy that we were talking about.
And can you share with us some upcoming projects that you're super excited about?
Yes, so I have some voiceover stuff in the mix right now. I can't wait to share. I can't say too much soon right now, but I can't wait to share very soon. I have some live action stuff in the mix that I can't really share about, but I am doing a lot of work in the mental health field. I've been continuing my work with Girl Well. I'm so excited that I'm working with Etra and Hello Sunshine for this new teen advisory board that has been so much fun. I've been doing a lot of panels, which has been really great. I'm doing a panel tomorrow, which is very exciting. And yeah, I'm in my college journey right now. I'm doing some community college classes and I'm having a lot of fun. I'm doing a math course right now. And yeah, I'm excited. Me and my best friend are working on some projects ourselves. I think self-producing is really cool. And I really want to get more into that as I get older. It's just self-producing and creating your own content and creating your own movies and TV shows. And I also have a podcast with one of my friends, Ashlyn. It's called Let's Talk About It. And it's where we talk about teen mental health. I just filmed an episode yesterday, and that's going to be coming out very, very soon. We're also self producing that. and that's been so much fun. So I can't wait for everyone to listen to our episodes because we have some really good and deep episodes. We have stuff on confidence, eating disorders, therapy, anxiety, depression, all the really hard things that are hard for teens to talk about. We talk about it and we're very real and authentic and share our honest and real opinions. So I'm excited for people to see that too.
That's amazing. And how was your experience when you did Home Sweet Rome and working outside of the US?
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. So I did a show called Home Sweet Rome for Max, and our episodes are streaming now if you want to watch them. But we got to film entirely in Rome, which was so cool. And actually, this it has been my dream since I was a kid to go to Italy. I remember I had like a fourth grade art project and it was to create a map and of anywhere it could be a place that you want to go to, it could be an imaginary place, it could be a place from a book, and I chose Italy because that was my dream, was to go to Italy. And I got to be in Rome for 4 months, and it was 4 months of just pure magic and joy. And I speak a little bit of Italian too. I took 3 years of Italian in high school, and I had done even more Italian before that. So it was so fun because I got to communicate with our amazing cast and crew on set, and I got to live that Italian life. And I think something that I really took away from that experience is seeing how different cultures live. I think it's so important to travel if you have the opportunity. Travel. If you have the opportunity to go to another country, do it. Because you just come back with a more well-rounded sense of life, I would say. The Italians have such a wonderful way of living. They are very slow about everything, which is really important. I feel like in America, we're always like fast paced, like, oh my gosh, we have to do this. Okay, next thing, we have fast food. Like, it really is such a fast paced culture, which isn't always a bad thing, but it can be sometimes. But the Italians, they take it slow. They walk slow. They walk with intention. It's enjoying the sky, enjoying the air, enjoying their life. And I think that was something so wonderful that I took away. Their meals it's the food there. Oh, it's so good. If I could like DoorDash food from Italy every night, I would, but that's obviously not possible, but I would. It's so good. But they eat very slow and they enjoy life more, which I think was something so special. And I made so many great friends, and yeah, I really hope that I get to visit Italy again soon because it was just such a wonderful experience. And I got to go to Venice too. I got to go to Amsterdam, and I got to go to London as well, and that was so fun. I'd love to go back to Amsterdam too. I really, really liked Amsterdam.
Wow, amazing. And have you come across any specific insights that relate to joy as you've traveled through all these different countries that
Yeah,
are different from what you have seen maybe in the US?
yes. I feel like what's interesting about the US and is oh, I forgot. I also went to Paris too because I feel like this coincides with this is the American way of living is you work to live. Or no, sorry, you live to work. You live to work. And which is good. You have that drive, but sometimes you can get so caught up in it that you kind of forget what you're doing and you forget to enjoy life. But I will say by going to, Paris and to see how they live, and going to Italy and to see how the Italians live, it really is, they do their work, but at the end of the day, they do their work so that they can live a fulfilling life. And I thought that was so interesting and just such a different point of view that I took back to the States. And, there's that saying of, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I feel like they really do embrace that over there. And, they find something that they're passionate about, they do it, and then they live that a fulfilling life. And I think that was just really important, is to find something you're passionate about, if you can pursue that and work for it, but to just take time to enjoy life a little bit more, I think was something I really took back.
And for someone that may actually be struggling to even decide what path to pursue at a very young age, I mean, you have clearly found your passion at a very, very young age, despite, as you were saying, the stage fright in the early days and so on. What advice would you give to some younger teens that may be struggling to even choose, do I pursue a career here or do I pursue studies in this domain? Where can they begin reflecting on a new positive journey for themselves.
I will say that's so great. I understand that because this point in time of being a teenager and kind of like anywhere from like 16, it really starts, I feel like, at 16 to 18 because that's like your junior year, right? And that can be the most stressful, as they say. There's a lot of uncertainties and a lot of fear of the unknown, which is something I'm working with my therapist right now because that's my anxiety talking, is fear of the unknown, right? And at the end of the day, everyone is feeling the same way. So when you go off to college, you're not going to be the only one feeling that way. And that's something that I've learned is everyone doesn't know what they're doing. This is everyone's first time being away from their family and living on their own and being in a college setting. And also, if you're struggling with what to pursue, you know, try try different things. Try it. Try this one day, then try this class, and you don't have to decide right now. You can change your mind. I mean, there's been so many stories of people starting in one thing and completely changing careers because they realized that it wasn't fulfilling. And it could be fulfilling for, 3, 4 years, and then you decide, okay, I have this great education and I studied this, but this isn't really what I want to do now, but I'm going to take the information that I learned and go do something else with it. And that's totally okay. People change their minds and careers all the time. But as long as you're learning and gaining information, no matter what field you decide to study in and no matter what path you decide to go on, as long as you're gaining information and learning from the people around you, that's really all that matters. College and passion, it's all about learning. When I go on set, I'm constantly learning from other actors and directors. So I think if you embrace that mindset and focus on the learning aspect rather than like, okay, what do I do? What job do I pursue? Because it can feel very anxious because I've been in it. But I think if you just pursue that, it kind of calms that anxiety a little bit.
Wonderful. And because we touched upon music and your love for music, what is one song that you absolutely love listening to that always lifts your spirits and bring this positive, joyful energy?
Oh, I love that. There's so many artists that I truly, truly just love. I'm trying to think because oh man. Okay. There's this song by Leve. Leve's my favorite artist. I love her so much. And she's so talented. And she's 25, she's young. And she incorporates jazz and classical and pop all in one. And it's such a beautiful medium that she's created. But she has this song called Dreamer. And I think it just always brings me so much joy. The lyrics are so wonderful. Her lyrics are so relatable. But it's all about no one's gonna pin me down. I could look up the lyrics, but it's like I'm living in my cloud. I'm doing my thing. No boy's gonna come and pin me down and have me do X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna live my dreams and I'm gonna be up in the clouds and dream. And I think that's so important is, not let other people take away your dreams, to just keep dreaming because if you work hard and if you feel passionate about something and you pursue that passion, you can really achieve it.
Wow, beautiful. Thank you. Kensington, any final words of wisdom or advice that you may wish to share with our audience as it relates to joy or living a fulfilling life that really is filled with positivity and all the things that we've spoken about so far?
I love this. I think the main thing that I want to say, and something that I've just been learning in my own life this year, is a lot of anxiety can stem from the fear of the unknown, right? A fear of tomorrow, of what tomorrow's going to bring. But if you can just live in the present and appreciate the present moment, go outside, look at the sun, look at the flowers, appreciate every single little thing. I really feel like you can live a more fulfilling life when you just are thankful for things in a different lens and kind of just reframe that. Living in the present is so hard. It's so hard, especially with someone with like a lot of anxiety too, because your anxiety is always anxious about tomorrow. Of I'm trying to protect you. Let me help you. Well, I don't know what tomorrow is. So what can we do to accommodate for that? You have to sometimes give it a little rest and say it's okay. We can live in the present moment and we can embrace this and enjoy this. So that would be my main message.
All right. Kensington, it's been such a pleasure to speak with you today. Thank
Oh,
you immensely for your time and all the wisdom you have shared.
thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. I'm so honored that I got to do this with you and talk about joy because that's really the most important part of life.